Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Dirty Gaming and a new video on the channel going over a new wandering path strategy that I've been testing out that actually came around accidentally after a grand design strategy I've been testing out and made the video for couldn't be implemented as you just could not buy the maps in bulk that you needed to, and the strategy had zero sustain. I did really enjoy the overall aspects of the strat though, so I decided to see if I could take a tried and tested wandering path altar farm, which is normally designed for low investment league start strategies, and juice it up to earn some good profits, and the results were amazing. Not only did I make a ridiculous amount of currency for what is essentially altar farming, it's also lots of fun and very engaging. Let's talk over the Atlas tree first, then I'm going to go over how to run the strategy, what you need to do, and we'll do a map showcase as a tutorial. Again, with my other strategies, there is minimal setup time and very low costs. We'll then go over the loot and the profit. So before that, let me just go over the pros and cons so you know if this might be something you want to try. For the pros, it is guaranteed profit, as a lot of the stuff that drops from red altars is really good money at the moment and sells instantly in bulk. As with all my strategies, it's very easy to set up, minimal buying, minimal setup cost, and minimal selling times. This strategy over sustains maps like crazy. I started with 12 mausoleum maps, and just that initial 12 around 114 maps without ever running out. And at the end, I had 67 maps left over in excess, and created a few Val temples in the process of Valing the maps. On to the cons. The main one for me is this is a lot of clicking. You pick up a lot of individual currency items, and at the end of the session, my hand was actually hurting due to the amount of clicking that I have to do, but I am quite old, so maybe you with your young hands, you'll be fine. Secondly, it's pretty deadly. You run any map mod that you can run. You run the top hat to increase mod effects. You're going to end up with 8 mod corrupted maps, and we take Delhi on the map device. With the extra pack size that we're going to push in, there are so many on-death explosions that they can sometimes be hard to avoid. So if you're not spell suppressed capped, you'll get obliterated, and there's certain layers of defenses that you're going to need in the build. It's also pretty PC resource heavy due to the amount of loot that drops and the number of mobs and explosions combined with the Delhi fog that you get in the map. And lastly, it does need a well-rounded, quick character to maximize profit. However, at this stage of the league, there's no reason you shouldn't have a decent mapping character if that's what you like to do. So let's go over the Atlas tree, and then we'll go over the materials you need and how to run the strategy. So the Atlas tree link will be in the video description. I think there's a few things you can do to play around with this, but I'll just go through the core concept of the tree. All we're really doing is we are bothered about delirium, getting pack size for growing hordes. We're taking Wandering Path to double the notables of all of the small nodes on the tree. And then we're taking Wrath of the Cosmos along with the increased pack size in Searing Exile maps, because these go from 5 to 10. So we get 40% increased pack size in the Searing Exile packs, and this is where the majority of your currency is going to come from. So the 3 keystones we're taking Singular Focus, because we only care about Mausoleum map, which is one we're going to be running. We don't care about any other maps at all, so the more Mausoleums we can drop, the better. We're taking Wandering Path, as we mentioned, to take the small notables and double them. And then we're taking Growing Hordes to get more pack size. The nodes you want to make sure you get all of are the chance for maps to be duplicated. So the max you can get is 37%. And I like to get 100% chance for a monster to drop a connected map, even though we are running Singular Focus, which means a connected map can't really drop. This turns maps into currency, and I've actually had quite a lot of extra currency drop than normal, so I think it is actually doing something. And you will over sustain maps anyway, because we are Valing the maps. We've got the top hat here. You're going to drop an absolute ton of maps, as we'll go through my stash in a moment. I over sustained an absolute load on this strategy. And that's kind of it. Along with Delirium, which we're just taking the chance here, we're taking the opportunity for Delirium encounters to generate an additional reward type. And then we're taking increased progress. So you're going to get 6 bars of rewards pretty much on every map. And then we're taking extra chance for rewards to give Delhi Orbs, because that's really what we're doing Delirium for. And the strategy is we do Mausoleum because the boss altars don't spawn on Mausoleum. So every altar that you get for Searing Exile is going to have a minion option, and that's where all the currency drops that we're interested in. So as I say, the Atlas tree is in the video description. If you copy this exactly as it is, you'll be absolutely fine. And this is all the over sustain I've got. So I started with, 8 to 10 maps, I think it was. Ran well over 100, and I've got all of these maps left over to do it again. What I would recommend when you are starting the strategy is, let's say you decide you want to give 10 maps a go, get everything ready. So get your 10 maps, get them rolled so that you can run them and then vial them. Get enough scarabs, you're going to be using 4 per map, so you need 40 for 10 maps. Get some vials, some alchemies and some scours so that you've got everything ready to go and you can just run map after map after map until your 10 maps are up. And then all you would do, you would take your scarabs, you would put all of them in the map device. They can all be exactly the same, it doesn't matter. Then each time you go into a map, it will take one of each of these scarabs. So once you've done 10 maps, you'll need to load up with 40 more scarabs. You're just going to use increased quantity in the area. We don't need to use any of the map options. And you put your vial map in, you put your Seer and Exile influence on, and you run it. So we'll go and do a map showcase. So what I would do, if there's mods that your build cannot run, search them in this bar here with your maps and it will highlight them. If there is a sextant, that means you can bypass that. So reflect, you can get a sextant so you don't take reflect damage. Put them to one side, buy a couple of sextants towards the end of your session, and then you can run your reflect maps. If there are mods you just cannot run full stop, then you'll obviously need to roll over them. You also, when you value maps, going to get them turned unidentified. The mods won't change. So if you could run the map before, once it goes unID'd, you can still run it. Again, there's a sextant that's about 5 to 6 chaos. So it's only just over 1 chaos per map for use. And it gives you 20% extra pack size. And that's a big difference in terms of rewards. So again, you just put them to one side, run them all together with a sextant once you've got 4. So we will just do one map as an example. So we will alch it. I can run that map. It's not the best. It's got tiny pack size, but I'm not going to be re-rolling maps. We will then vial it and it's gone fizz, so we can't do it. So we put it into our fizz pile to do later. We alch this map. We can run that. We'll vial it. It hasn't changed, so we can now run this map. We'll put it in a map device with our scarabs, put our influence on, and off we go. You will get deli in about 50% of your map. So it's spawned here. So we'll go through the mirror. Just give it a second to spawn, otherwise you might outrun the fog. And then we're just going to go through, picking up everything that drops. Look out for your altars and always take minion. So this is Orbs of Binding, which I've got hidden because they're not worth anything. Anything worth less than a chaos is not worth picking up. You're already going to be picking up an absolute ton of stuff. So you just progress through the map. You'll get things like cluster jewels drop, but unless they show as high value, like they're a different color, I wouldn't bother picking them up. They're not worth any currency. And then this map here, I'll open the mini map up a bit more, is basically a figure of 8. So you just do a figure of 8 and then you'll be back at the start again. You don't go into the boss room because we don't want to start spawning boss altars. You will get, as mentioned in the pros and cons, tons of corpse explosions and things like that in Delirium, which can get a little bit annoying. So you just keep circling through the map. You can see already we're at 6 layers of rewards for our Delirium. We've not found any altars, but that's the good thing about Delirium. They can make up for the maps that maybe aren't great because you don't find good altars. So we'll just go through. The mirror is now worn off. We'll just go through to the end of the map. 25 monsters left. We'll wait until our daily rewards drop, and then we'll go out and into another map. So that's it for that map, and we're straight out. So that's probably less than 2 minutes, and we picked up a deli orb from that map, and we didn't get any good altars. You'll dump your loot in whatever tab you're keeping it in, and then go straight in again. Grab your next map from here, put it in and go again. And the quicker you can do it, the more profit you'll make. You're targeting altars because that is where the majority of your currency is going to come from. Every time you fill up your wheel here, kill the boss or put a different map in and kill the boss. It's up to you. And then, yeah, with Delirium, make sure you go through the mirror. Give it a second to actually start spreading the fog. And then you can go about your merry way and you're never going to outrun the fog. You won't get many simulacrum splinters because the way the fog goes, it hardly has to travel very far to get to the boss room. So even if you do clear the whole map, you're probably only going to get like 5 to 10 splinters. It's not why we're doing it, and you will build up some simulacrums over time. So we'll quickly go through the type of loot that you get. Now there are some anomalies which I will strip out in terms of the profit per map, which is 2 Voidborn keys, which I actually got to drop in back-to-back maps, which is a really nice surprise. And we also had Einar's memory of Crystal Prisons, which is the essence memory, which is 1.5 divines. This, I don't think you necessarily need to strip out. It's not at the value that it's going to skew the figures too much, but 2 Voidborn keys at 6.5 div combined will definitely skew the figures. And as you can see, all the loot is the stuff that we expect to get. Awakened Sextants end up getting 223. That is pretty much 2 Sextants per map that we dropped, and they are 38 Sextants for 1 divine. We did 4 full invitation runs, so we obviously got our 4 incandescent invitations. We had 64 Grand Embers drop, which are insanely valuable. That's sort of 3.5 divines worth. Great Embers as well. It says 2.5 here. They're not. They're about 3.5. So these are probably closer to 2.5 divines. Varlorbs are actually pretty good currency now. Early on in the league, they were maybe like 3 for a chaos. They're now 1.2 chaos per Varlorb. And it is nice that we drop them because we are using them. So we're sort of getting them back from the strategy. So if we have a look at the Deliorbs, and I do think I didn't run these for the whole strategy. I have a feeling I only added the Delian after about 10 to 15 maps. But as you can see, an absolute ton of Deliorbs. In terms of value, let's put them at 4 divines. You could bulk sell them for more than this. You can normally bulk sell them for sort of 120% of this price. So considering this is sort of passive income because we're just running through a mirror to get them, it's a very, very nice return. So here's my crude spreadsheet. I hope you can read it okay. I was more worried about what sort of colors might flashbang people. So I've tried to make it as kind of dark as possible with still being able to read it. So overall around 114 maps. I've put the cost at 5.2 chaos. We're not including maps because we over-sustain massively, so you don't need to include maps in your cost. This cost is basically a Varlorb and your 4 Scarabs. You'd add a little bit on for an Alchemy and maybe a Scour every now and again, and maybe another 0.1 to make up for all of the compasses you might end up using. So we'll call it 5.4 chaos per map. So at that point, it would take you 114 maps to 615 chaos. So really not a lot of investment, less than 3 divines. The returns I had back was 10,933 chaos, which in divines works out at 46.9. So 46.9 divines from the 114 maps. In terms of profit, most of it is profit because our cost is very little. So profit was 44.3. And then a profit per map, we've got 90 chaos or 0.4 divines. However, this includes everything from my breakdown. So what I've done is added up the 2 Voidborn keys and the Essence Memory, and they're about 8 divines. So without the big drops, it brings us down to 8,430 chaos profit, which per map is 74 chaos. So for me personally, taking away all of the big drops, it was just under 11 divines per hour. If we include everything that I got, it's 13.3. But I'll just ignore the hourly rate. This is what you want to concentrate on. Profit per map. It's obviously going to be slightly different because I've only run just over 100 maps, but have this in mind for per map. So if you are someone that maybe, even if the quick maps to run is only going to run 15 maps in an hour because you might sit in your hideout for a little while, you might go and do other stuff, times that by the number of maps that you're going to do, and that's realistically the profit that you can expect, give or take. So we'll go into the stash tab view because it might be a little bit easier to see because I've split it up into 2 tabs. So this is all of the currency, raw currency that we had drop. We had 1 divine from Delirium rewards and then 3 drop naturally, 2 exalts and 2 annulments. For people that aren't aware, these 3 have the same drop rate. So essentially I dropped 1 divine more than expected as one of them came from Delirium. 223 sextants, which is well over 5 divines, probably 6 divines of sextants. Orbs by makings, Varlorbs, loads of stuff that sells in bulk, some silver coins, and lots of exotic currency. 171 greater embers, 64 grand. A few bits from beyond that spawned on maps. And then this is the tab that I'm looking at the best. Ignore this middle stuff. This is kind of random stuff that dropped from Delirium. Same with the essences, but these make up very little of your currency. It wouldn't even matter if you discarded them. Obviously you wouldn't. You'd just put them away for future use or selling in bulk later on. But you can see we've got lots and lots of Deliorbs, 3 full simulacrums, 4 invitations. We've obviously got our super lucky Voidborn drops here. And then our Crystal Prison's Memory. These are all the Gilded Scarabs that dropped from Altars, all of the Polished, and all of the Rusted. This is the good thing. We dropped a lot of Rusted Scarabs. It's nowhere near enough to self-sustain, but what this means is with everything you're left from running these maps, you've got the Varlorbs that you need to carry on. You just have to buy some Alks and Scours if you didn't have them. And you have plenty of Scours to be getting on with to just run straight back and do another session. And with your over-sustain maps, and that's why I like it, there's no downtime. So once you've run your 20 maps, you'll just go and prep another 20, stick it in, run them. It just minimizes the time that you're not actually in a map earning currency. You will also drop a lot of div cards. I think I only had 1 that's worth anything, which is a Dragon's Heart, and now at this stage of the league, I don't actually think they're worth very much currency. No, they're sort of 30C. But we had some full stacks of no traces, which is nice, because funnily enough, this covers the Scours that we might need. And various other things. It will vary depending on your luck, because you get loads of different types of divination cards drop from those altars. We had 4 Val Temples, which just occurred naturally from Val in our maps, a few stack decks, There's some stuff I haven't priced. I haven't priced the fractured items. So we've got a decent evasion pair of gloves with 12% spell suppression, and a prophecy one with T1 fractured crit strike chance to spells, and a corrupted belt of deceiver with brace increase aura effect. I've not priced them up at all and included them in the profit. Same with the maps. Realistically, I've probably earned more because all of these maps, bar these ones here, were probably, let's say, my initial investment. All of these maps are excess maps. So it's over 50. So if you did want to sell them, you'd get more than a divine for these maps, but I wouldn't. They are very hard to buy, these maps. Not many people have them, so not many people sell them. It's a really good map for doing altar farming. And if you totally run out, you've then got to go through the hassle of buying them on trade or trying to get some yourself through other farming methods. I do have another strategy which I mentioned at the beginning of the video, which is Grand Designs, which is slightly more profit than this and probably a little bit easier. I will release that video in a couple of days because I have finished it, but realistically you have to do this strategy first because you need to build up a supply of these maps, because as soon as you hit your Grand Design strategy, you will maybe drop one map in 5 or 6, so you will never ever sustain. So before we close out the video, I know you want me to open these Voidborn keys, so we will. I don't necessarily need the currency and it's fun to open these, so we'll go ahead. I'm not expecting anything. I'm expecting maybe a tabula rasa and something like a level 1 unique ring, but we'll put both these in. They're just a normal Voidborn keys and we'll see what we can get out of it. So key number 1. Is probably not worth anything. The worm flask, I wouldn't have thought. I don't know how you check this for, but it's 1C, so foil is not going to make a difference. Good start, minus 3.3 divines. Put the next one in. And then we'll see what we get for this one. And yes, that is a good way to waste 6.6 divines. That is a clay shaper. Again, this is a 1C unique. Yep, so probably not the best use of Voidborn keys, but it's a bit of fun opening them up. Let's close out the video. That's kind of it. I don't think I need to go on any more about the strategy. Lots and lots of fun. As long as your build can handle it, you will make a ton of currency. I'm going to put a written guide together for this and put it in the video description because it can be sometimes difficult to follow a farming strategy when you're just trying to remember stuff that's gone through on a video fairly rapidly. So there will be a Google Doc attached and it'll have all the information that you need on how to roll your maps, how to run them, how to maximize your profit, and how to roll your maps and make sure you're doing everything in the best time that's possible for you. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you in the next one.